Snake Eyes!
Alright, it's okay. Alright, 15. Hit me. Alright, 17. Hit me.
25. Damn it!
Okay. Okay, how about, we make a deal with the devil and we make Tom Brady partial owner? You know? What do we do that? You know? We'll make him partial owner and we forget the Tuck rule that screwed the Raiders of a potential trip to the Super Bowl. Maybe. I mean, there's no guarantee they would have beaten the Steelers that year, but maybe we would have done that. I mean, let's see. All right, draft picks. Okay, I don't know what that means, but I guess it means something. Oh boy.
Hey everybody, I'm Cortez and I'm a critic, and welcome back. We are into the 2025 draft recap. We are talking about the AFC West. And we are in Sin City to talk about the Raiders as they have, oh my goodness, they have 11 picks. This is going to be a long video. I am so sorry. All right, Las Vegas Raiders, here we go. Okay, so before we get completely into it, because like I said, 11 picks, a lot of noise. The Raiders seem like another team that they're constantly rebuilding, and they're always like this dilemma of hope and maybes and hope and maybes and hope and maybes. And they're in Las Vegas, which is like the ultimate gamble, literally. And I don't know, man. I feel like the Browns and Bengals have gotten better, but the Raiders still have not done anything. And you're in the division where basically like everyone else made the playoffs but you. So what could be done? What could be done to get you guys just a little bit closer? And with tons of speculation going into the draft and a lot of talks about a certain player that I said, but I didn't make the video, so everyone was a genius, and I looked like I was copying them. With the 7th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Ashton Jeanty, running back, Boise State. So, to the credit to the Raiders, they did take Brock Bowers, which we honestly think we both can agree it was because there was no one else available, and they kind of missed out because, like I said, I still think Raiders are still kind of pissed off Atlanta took Michael Penix Jr. So the whole Raider plan went out the window. So there were talks that Shedeur Sanders was going to come to Las Vegas, or at least another quarterback potentially. Or at least they were going to trade back in the first round, or maybe the first pick in the second round. They were going to. But then they traded with Geno Smith. Or they paid him off for free agency. Either way, they got Geno Smith, and they didn't give him a 2-year extension to make his whole worth like $75 million. So as much as I would have loved them to potentially take a quarterback to potentially train, it was very obvious that they were not going to get a quarterback in the first, 100 of their picks in the first 100. So Shedeur, which we done all the time, we all felt like he'd be long gone anyway. So looking into that way, getting Ashton Jeanty. And with Geno Smith there, good plug and play. Brock Bowers proved worthy. The receiving core, though, kind of dry. I think Myers is the only running back that's worth really of a value. But I feel like with Jeanty and Bowers, basically you had the rookie record-breaking sensation at tight end, proving his worth with no quarterbacks. Now he has a competent quarterback, so it makes you wonder how much better he's going to be when he broke records with no quarterbacks. Sorry, Adrian Cottle. Sorry, Gardner Minshew. Sorry, anyone else that was quarterback that year. And then you get Ashton Jeanty, which I believe he will probably be the first running back in a long time, probably since Ezekiel Elliott, I'll even say that, where he will literally probably be like a 25-30 attempt back every week in, week out. And Jeanty gives me Leonard Fournette vibes in that Leonard Fournette in his career at LSU was a workhorse. I feel like he was a brand new car that I feel like by the time he went pro, his tires and alignment was already shot. And Leonard Fournette won Super Bowl with the Bucks, still looked promising, but he did get beat up a lot in that LSU offense. Genty for the Broncos, let's be real, it's because of him the reason why Boise was in the play or even in the conversation. So seeing him be there, and then even though they were no match for Penn State, he still got 100 yards against that Penn State defense, so take that as a complimentary win for him. But clearly this is meant to be run the ball probably 60% of the time, and then Geno Smith give the ball to Brock Bowers on one-on-one matchups, and then in between there, sprinkle in a couple of, slant routes and post routes for the other receivers. But this is clearly meant to help Geno Smith and to keep the Raiders somewhat relevant. But my question is, what if Genty blows up and just goes crazy? 1,500 yard day, 1,500 yard season, 6.3 yards a carry, double-digit touchdowns, and then the Raiders end the season with like an 8-9 record. You're kind of far away from a quarterback spot, and you're kind of like thinking, what do we do about Geno? What do we do about the quarterback situation now as it is? A lot of questions for the future, but the big thing we all can agree is you're in the AFC West against 3 teams that made the playoff that seem to be much better off than you are. So take the compliment as best you can. Getting Genty at least would be exciting, and Brock Bowers proved to do it. So I think the Raiders will be interesting to observe. Then we go to the second round. And with the 58th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders selected Jack Betch, wide receiver, TCU. Now, it's kind of sad to think of a wide receiver from TCU. You can't think of Quentin Johnson at the Chargers right now. And think about, he was considered a great wide receiver from TCU too. This felt more of a case of they need receivers, and Betch was the best available player they could get. I mean, the Raiders have 11 picks, and I feel like compared to other teams that had like 11 picks, that I felt like they didn't really need those 11 picks, the Raiders really felt like we need to get a plethora of players, and then we can assemble them. You got Pete Carroll, so I am really banking on Pete Carroll's college mind, because he was in the NFL, went to college, then back to the NFL, and then back to college, and I can't help but feel like maybe he's thinking of these players more as a college-minded coach with the opportunity to get them into the NFL system. Pete Carroll had success. I mean, getting Genty probably felt very much like they got their Marshawn Lynch, and they probably want to get that defense to somewhat of a legion of some kind. So we want to get, and let's be real, Seattle fans, quickly. When you guys won the Super Bowl, you had honestly, no real name wide receiver. I mean, you got Baldwin, but let's be real, Baldwin was never considered one of those, dynamic Jefferson, Mike Evans, player. He was a good, solid player for the Seahawks. And then we had Percy Harvin, who was mainly there as speed demon, and that's about it. But a lot of the Seahawks was strong defense and run the ball. Even though you kind of want to give Russell Wilson the credit, when really probably should have stuck with what would have got you in the first place when you guys crushed the Denver Broncos the year before. So this feels more of Geno Smith, assembling a new receiver, I get him in here, developing, almost in a way where it's like he has time to develop because, the receiving core is not that great. I mean, like I said, Jacoby Myers, the only one I can think of that's like anything value. That's why I feel it's going to be Brock Bowers, Genty. It's going to be the tight end running back show. And it's funny enough because we have seen teams succeed with basically that type of formula. And Geno Smith had way much better weapons receiving wise when he was at Seattle. Now he's coming in with lesser, but I feel like they got more support. So to me, this feels more for Jack is just a value pick, developing, and hopefully, he'll get some reps quickly into the the Raiders offense, and then we'll see what happens down the line. But to me, this feels more of, we kind of need a new receiver. We kind of took the toys away, but also I kind of feel like they're looking at Geno Smith as a placeholder for 2 or 3 years, and that's it. So who knows how long they want this receiver to quickly get acclimated to this offense when he might need to go to a new quarterback in 3 years. Who knows? So to me, they need a receiver. They got one. Then we go to the third round with the 68th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Las Vegas Raiders select Darren Porter, cornerback, Iowa State. So you're trying to develop the Legion of Boom again, aren't you, Pete Carroll? Aren't you? We all thought, and I thought so too, that Antonio Pierce, being the head coach of the Raiders, was going to turn that Raider team back to the bad boys of the NFL's past, where they were rootin', tootin', black and blue, silver and joy Raiders defense. And I think the defense did its job, but it kind of made it more apparent the offense was not. And in a weird way, I kind of feel like maybe Antonio Pierce was given such a small leash that he was almost doomed to fail just because he happened. I mean, any other division maybe had another chance for another year, but this was clearly a desperation move for the Raiders to move forward. How much is that Tom Brady? I don't know. I don't know how much influence Tom Brady has, but he's Tom Brady, so you tell me how much he has influence. And them getting a cornerback, which they currently have him. They currently have Porter over behind Eric Stokes, who I believe Eric Stokes was another cornerback from, he was a first round pick in 2021 by the Green Bay Packers. And he was picked up mainly for a lot of his speed at that time. And I guess didn't develop. So the Raiders defense is basically, they got Devin White. For us Bucs fans, we all know Devin White. So let's be real. Majority of this Raider defense is based on scraps from others. And some probably literally looking on their last leg. And what's the best way to go to get lucky than to go to Las Vegas? Professionally or with a gambling addiction. So seeing Porter come in here, developing, I mean, competition is slim, in my opinion. I think the competition is slim because everyone else is here is on their third or fourth team. So if you show up in training camp, you might get some playing time. Heck, you might get some playing time week one. That's how much the Raiders are probably just opening the floodgates of whoever we can get. Then we go to, we're still in the third round with the 98th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Las Vegas Raiders select Caleb Rogers, offensive tackle, Texas Tech. Now, the Raiders went for a twofer because they literally had the next pick and they do go offensive tackle, so spoilers ahead. And I've always felt, we all feel, when you have a quarterback, no matter who it is, you always want good tackles. Not just a left, but you want good tackles because in today's NFL, if that edge has the ability to get around those big, burly, big butt, big arm tackles, your quarterbacks can be demolished. We have seen championship seasons end with just good pass rush on getting after quarterbacks. A good pass rush helps up a weak secondary any day. So if you can't get pass rushes, no matter how good your secondary, they can't cover forever. Coverage sacks only does so much. But every defensive player knows, especially the pass rushers, you got like a 3 to 4 second window in your head and you got to get there probably under 3. And the quarterback has the same mindset too. And God forbid if they're able to scramble. They can make the play go longer or they can just take off and go. So to me, this is mainly for the support, and they currently have Rodgers. I mean, you still got Colton Miller, which is a player I keep hearing they potentially be on the trade market. I keep hearing rumors about that. They might just willing to, open up some cap for Miller. But they currently have Rodgers going inside. Looks like they have him being viewed as behind Jordan Meredith, left guard. So it looks like they're moving Caleb inside. So we'll see how long those suspicious rumors for Miller potentially being a trade casualty. But building up a new offensive line, and I feel like it's more for Genty than Geno Smith. Mainly because Genty is a rookie and Geno Smith is a veteran. Doesn't mean not protecting it, but interior offensive linemen, especially guys mainly that was drafted as a tackle, being moved inside, feels like inside running in between the tackles and guards. So this could potentially be for Genty's benefit more than Geno Smith's protection. And like I said, with the 99th pick, the next pick, they got back-to-back picks. They double-dipped here. With the 99th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders selected Charles Grant, offensive tackle, William and Mary. So William and Mary? I had abbreviated. Offensive tackle, and they currently have Grant as the left tackle behind Miller, which goes back to that suspicion I've heard locally, and by locally I mean YouTube and other reliable sources, that Miller could potentially be viewed as a trade value. Could there be a possibility for cap spacing or even getting a late round pick? Because let's be real, the Raiders are not looking this year as we have it all together. Even Brock Bowers' second year, the fear of the sophomore slump terrifies a lot of ownerships and coaches with a rookie sensation. I'm sure the Commanders are probably having fears of rookie sophomore slump. I mean, CJ Stroud kind of had a sophomore slump, even though they went to the playoffs, but it wasn't as, strong as you probably wanted to. So for the Raiders looking into that, I think this is meant for insurance. But if not, development young player. And who knows, maybe in the future it will probably lead to a potential decision making by the owners to determine whether we sign Miller to an extension or he becomes a cap casualty or we trade him for value. We don't know, but Grant is clearly meant to be an option. If we don't trade Miller, Grant develops. If Miller becomes traded, we're developing Grant to become the new, and it's the left tackle position. So the left tackle kind of has a little bit more of a, especially for a right-handed quarterback, it has a little bit more of a, yeah, your job is to literally protect our entire season's future with you. No pressure, no pressure. And those that succeeded, more power to you. Then we go to the fourth round finally. With the 108th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Dante Thornton Jr., wide receiver, Tennessee. I am surprised Thornton Jr. dropped this far. I thought Tennessee's, past few seasons were very good for a lot of their core players. But Thornton was one of those players I felt like, I thought maybe would have been picked up sooner. I mean, third round, maybe late second round, but I was probably thinking a little early third round for his dynamic in the slot, which I feel like that's probably what he'll be utilized for. And according to this, they have him, second teamer, currently behind Myers. So we'll see, but I see Thornton more as in the slot, going in between the numbers, getting inside the zone, and we all know that Brock Bowers is capable of going on the outside and perimeter. He is that dynamic of a receiving tight end. So Thornton's probably just to get that quick inside slant type of guy, get the ball quickly out of Geno Smith's hands and go in between the linebackers core. And I feel like that's probably where they'll utilize him mostly. Do they have him potentially? No, that's what I thought. I thought they might move him to special team, but looks like they're not going to do that. So yeah, I see Thornton Jr. potentially as the inside guy. He has opportunities from the outside, but I feel like he'll be utilized more as quick inside type of receiver. Then we go to still in the fourth round with the 135th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Las Vegas Raiders select Tomka Hemingway, defensive tackle, South Carolina. We all know that Max Crosby ended the season out on injured reserve, and Christian Wilkins didn't give us the full debut as a Raider when we got him from Miami. So I can understand that you kind of like, okay, so the first season was a dress rehearsal. Now it's the real thing. We're going to see how Wilkins is a one-man crew. Max Crosby is going to realize that he's going to have one-on-one team-ups with tight ends, and he's going to beat them. And then on the other side, Adam Butler and Malcolm. It doesn't have the same flair as everyone else. And we'll see how much they utilize Devin White, even though Devin White is projected to be a starter. So good luck to you, Raiders. But we'll see how much they utilize. But seeing the putting with Hemingway is currently being viewed as the third string defensive tackle in the same position as Christian Wilkins. Now the question would be, of course, is Christian Wilkins' health. If he's 100% ready to go, then Hemingway's playing time becomes situational and rotation limited. But if Wilkins is not ready to go and Fonta has to come in and be the starting tackle, there you go. Hemingway now becomes the backup defensive tackle on the left side, and therefore rotation becomes necessary, and potentially even stints of starting could potentially be in the future to rookie season. So this feels more of an insurance policy, depends on Wilkins' health. But if Wilkins' health is good, then he'll be more as development, learning, and maybe even situationals, goal line defense, short yard situations, stop the run, stop the tush push, because I didn't get banned. Suck it! I like the tush push. Stop it. And that's all I gotta say. If you don't like it, then honestly, I just feel like you're just being petty. You're just being petty. Ugh. So to me, that is what I feel like Hemingway will be moving forward. Then we go to the 6th round. With the 180th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select J.J. Pegus, defensive tackle, Mississippi, or Ole Miss if you want to be a rebel about it. So we go double up on defensive tackle, which deals more at development. And they currently have JJ, the same position, third stringer, right next with Hemingway on the right defensive tackle side. And this probably feels more of development and to potentially get into some reps, but I'm still going to bank it on short yardage. Both these defensive tackles are probably going to get plenty of practice and plenty of time practicing in the preseason, and definitely some game level reps, because I really believe a lot of stars are not going to play that much, or at least not that long, a series or two, and then they're out, and that's even if. So these two gentlemen will have a chance to get themselves into development very quickly, and then hopefully get a rotation. We'll see how much the training camp goes, but I feel like the Raiders are just doubling up, tripling up on quality players to feel like, we're not desperate for anything really. Even Ashton Genty felt more like a, frosting of a cake type of pick. It's like, he's good. He's really good, but we weren't like crazy for a running back either. It was just like, oh, he's there. Why not? I know. I mean, we're already not being viewed very highly, so let's make some splash and see who gets wet. There you go. So to me, doubling up on defensive tackle, doubling up on offensive lineman, this feels more of interior design, and it's probably built for more the future of beyond this year than this year in particular. Then, still in the 6th round with the 213th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders selected Tommy Milton, wide receiver, Montana State. Now, I've always criticized and try not to, but I try to at least acknowledge that lower schools always has that big question mark of level of competition. We have seen success of smaller schools becoming great in the NFL, from HBCU schools to Delaware to Division III schools. We've seen it. We've seen it time and time again. No one's saying it. If you can play football on the high level, you'll show it out, and then you'll make your mark like you do in any level of football. It happens. But looking at Tommy Milton, the wide receiver of Montana State, I can't help but feel like he must have something, because they currently have Tommy as the returner for both punt and kick, which means his raw speed and athleticism is the big, diamond in the rough here. Now, I'm not saying that Tommy cannot get some playing time as wide receiver. He's currently viewed as a second teamer right next with Dante Thornton Jr. And like I said, the wide receiver room is not really filled with a lot of security when it comes to, we clearly have our top three. It's kind of like, we got one we're more confident in. The rest we're kind of, just going to put you there for right now, and then we'll see what happens when the season starts. So, and if Tommy being viewed as a punt returner, which I always feel like is meant for agility and quickness and able to explode within 1-2 step go, Tommy could be a home run hitter for the Raiders. I mean, I'm getting Scotty Miller vibes. And Tom Brady knows what it's like to have a Scotty Miller, okay? So maybe Tommy is the Scotty Miller for the Raiders. Someone that's, kind of like, not really looked at, but then gone. Or throw the ball up deep and watch him go after it like a cheetah. So maybe Tommy Milton is the speed demon that's meant to be situational, experimental, but everyone loves a good home run hitter in today's NFL, so maybe that's what they want. And then this one's really interesting. 2 picks later, still in the 6th round, with the 215th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Cam Miller, quarterback, North Dakota State. Now, for those of you that knew football beyond the SEC, North and South Dakota have always been one of the two programs that always seem to be competing for the championship respectively every year, and sometimes it's always a Dakota that wins it all, whether it's North or South, or sometimes they play each other for the whole thing. And so then again, my point still stands that a Dakota is the thing that wins out. So we all know we have some, I think Trey Lance was a Dakota. I'm trying to double check, was he a North or South Dakota? I think he was a North Dakota. So yeah, so he came from the same school as Cam Miller. So, and like I said, Dakota has that prestigious honor of developing a high quality player for a small program, which makes you wonder I believe a lot of North Dakota players could probably play in Big Ten SEC schools, but they probably won't get the attention and the reps in the college level if they play in those schools, because they'll be going with 5-star, 5-star, 5-stars. And some of these 5-stars are going here, maybe because it's closer to home, maybe because competition, maybe they have a chance to start. And they believe that the North Dakota is strong enough, they'll get me attention to get drafted in the NFL, and has been successful multiple times. So to me, Cam Miller going to the Raiders, I mean, let's be honest, they trusted basically a whole season for Aiden O'Connell. So this pick doesn't seem anywhere far-fetched to me. And no disrespect, but I think I kind of trust North Dakota State versus Purdue. Let's be real. So I think this is experimental. What if? Let's see what happens. But this is clearly not meant to thrust him into the offense. God forbid injuries that plague it. But this is feeling much more of, let's see what happens in preseason. If he's developing the right track, then we can say, okay, we're not too desperate if things go south with quarterback with Geno. So I feel like this could be a diamond that needs time to develop. And if he thrives, then don't be surprised. Hey, that's a nice rhyme. If he thrives, don't be surprised. Sounds like a new Nike commercial ad they're going to steal from me. And then we conclude the Raiders' 11-man roster in the 7th round with the 222nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Las Vegas Raiders select Cody Lindenberg, linebacker, Minnesota. You know, it's kind of weird when you realize that the Raiders are known for defense and they didn't go linebacker until the very end. I don't know, when I think of Raiders, I think of defensive ends and I think of linebackers. And then I think of Charles Woodson and others, but definitely think of linebackers first when I think of Raider defense for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's a stereotypical thing. I still believe Bill Romanowski is a demon in a football uniform. So, let me see. They have Lindbergh. Where they have you, buddy? They have Cody viewed as a backup middle linebacker behind Eldon Roberts. So that tells me that your intangibles are valuable, or they don't trust their initial starting linebacker. I'm going to be nice and say they trust in your intangible, that even though you're a 7th round pick, the 222nd, that means diddly squat. I believe when it comes to defensive players, a lot of it is, can you handle the potential, frustration, the struggle against 35-year-old men who are basically saying, if I don't make this pancake block, I'm not going to get that bonus. They're going to give me my new yacht. So maybe this is more of a case of he's raw, he's intimidating, he's mean. Why not? Yeah, this could have been a pick where they had 5 players they had in mind in the 7th round. They picked Cody thinking, he's probably he's probably a couple of inches taller than the other guys. He's probably a couple of 2 pounds bigger than the other guy. He's 6'3", 240. And looking at his picture here on the roster, he looks like a young guy, like 18-year-old kid. So he looks kind of thin but who knows? Maybe he develops into a new sensation rusher that comes in on blitz packages, maybe. Who knows? But to me, they have high hope for him, and it's kind of like why not? Why not? If you're a Raider fan, you should be thinking, why not? More players just gives you more hope that they will develop in something. And I think a lot of people, especially a lot of Raider fans, are trusting Pete Carroll. Probably more than they trusted other head coaches they had in the past. I mean, I definitely don't want them to go get Daniels again. So that's the Raiders selections. My grade for the Raiders, because of what Brock Bowers did with nothing, I can't help but feel like with Geno there, it would be better. And then Ashton Genty, who I think is going to be like a 30, 35 type carry kind of player. I think the Raiders are better. It's going to be really hard to make them anywhere higher than better, because they are in a division where basically everyone else made the playoffs and everyone else has gotten good players, and then some of their veteran players that were injured are coming back. So for right now, the Raiders, my hope is to be competitive, move forward, and the player I'm most excited is Genty. Let's be real. More so in the fact that it's a Boise State player. And a lot of time they use that kind of against the entire Boise State program the whole season. And then we keep forgetting that Boise was like one of the first great underdogs that beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl. Ian Johnson, anybody? These was always the team that take on Oregon and Georgia week 1, Virginia Tech week 1, and they beat them to kind of like almost keep themselves like, hey, anything you bring against us, we're still gonna win. Okay, fun. Stop picking on us, seriously. So it's a little stigma of, do people really respect Boise? I think the last good Boise player was Doug Martin, and he had like 2 or 3 good years, and then he was disappeared. And he doesn't like being, and he also like to be called the muscle hamster. So I would embrace the nickname. It's a nickname that's unique, and I'd be like, embrace it. Maybe Doug Martin has embraced it. I don't know. Funny enough, Doug Martin actually did become a Raider during the end of his career. So coincidentally, Boise State running backs go to the Raiders either way. And that is what I think the Raiders. 11 picks, a lot, I know. But the good news is everyone else is under 10. So we went from the Raiders, who were probably considered to be the worst team. Let's just jump right into it. Next time we'll be talking about the runner-up to the Super Bowl in the Kansas City Chiefs. And see, as they once again, for the first time in a few years, they did not win the Super Bowl and now must start the dynasty track again. So the Chiefs are the next team on the clock. But until then, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you so very much for watching.